Hey everyone, welcome to Wiki's Fantasy and Supercoach preview for round 7 of the NRL. To start off with, if you Google Wiki Linktree, you'll find what you see on your screen at the moment. Just to get started very quickly, I'm going to cover off a few of the things that you can do for free. Check out more stuff on our site and also support us. And then we'll get into NRL team changes. We'll get into how my teams are going and also some of the most popular traded in and traded out players to help you with your possibly what you want to do with your trades, look at captaincy picks, cash cows, and everything else. So to start off with, as I said, guys, Wiki Linktree, these are all our socials. You've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. This podcast that I'm doing will end up as a video on YouTube, or if you just want the audio version, you can check it out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So yeah, if you could follow us and share it across with your mates, that'd be super helpful. We've been doing this for 3 years at Wiki, but a lot of the content stuff has only really we've gone a lot harder on it in the last 6 to 12 months. Which has led to us getting, I think, just over 1,600 people on our Discord and TikTok. And a year ago, we pretty much had 0. So it's been incredible growth. And a lot of that has been in the last month or so. And if you guys are watching or listening along to this, you're probably a key reason why. So obviously get it across your mates would be super helpful for us as a company to do what we do for free. Scrolling down, guys, you can join our Discord. As I said, it is free. We've got over 1,600 people in there. Really good community, not just chatting NRL, fantasy, and punting, but also discussing stuff like UFC, NBA, AFL, IPLs at the moment. We do a little bit of work here with cricket as well. On the NRL side, guys, so the Punters Preview is an article and also a podcast. So we did that last week. That'll be updated with round 7 info. Got a few other punting tools and stuff all across here. And what I'm doing now, the Fantasy and Supercoach podcast, that'll be on here as well. And I'll update the links by the time that you see this, probably Wednesday, Arvo, or evening Sydney time. But let's get straight into it. So with the team stuff, I'm not going to spend as much time. I've been guilty in the past of spending way too much time on team changes. It's round 7. There is still a little bit of carnage, but I'm going to get straight into it, guys. So Dolphins, Rabbitohs, Wallace out with concussion, Tola out with his knee. The Rabbitohs get AJ, Alex Johnson, and Jai Arrow back, and the Dolphins get Jesse Bromwich back, which is going to be an interesting battle. Like when I look at these teams, it's there's the obvious class of Walker, Ilias, Mitchell, and Cook versus Marshall King. Yeah, Marshall King has played well for a couple of seasons. The Hammers, it's his first real season properly at fullback, and then you got Katoa Nikorima. Like it's just the spine. There's a huge difference. But yeah, can the Dolphins keep the show going at home? That'll be interesting. Sharks, Roosters. There's going to potentially be some fantasy implications out of their big outs in Finucane and Rudolph. You got Hunt, ULA, and McInnes. I think depending on whether you're playing fantasy or Supercoach, you want to weigh up, like, is McInnes worth it for potentially only 3 weeks of really good scores? I personally think he's an excellent pickup in draft if you play draft, but I don't know if I'd go in for season long. I don't know if it's worth it for 3 weeks. And what if he disappoints? What if he doesn't score a try, for example, or doesn't have a line break, has no attacking stats, and just gets base stats for 3 weeks? I don't know if it's going to be worth it, but an interesting one for people weighing that up. For the Roosters, they're back. They got Matt Lodge back. They got Teddy back. They're almost at full strength. Obviously, Angus Crichton's still missing, but he's potentially going to be back soon as well. So the Roosters are almost full strength, whereas the Sharks, yes, they've got Hines back, but their forward pack's obviously missing a couple of leaders. Just quickly on Fantasy and Supercoach, Hines. it's again all about Hines. I have him in Supercoach. I don't have him in Fantasy. And I'm going to trade Hines in Supercoach, and I'm going to trade. Am I saying that the wrong way around? I'm going to trade Hines in NRL Fantasy where I don't have him, and Cleary in Supercoach where I don't have him. So I'm going to have Hines and Cleary in both my teams. I'm doing reasonably well in NRL Fantasy, not so much in Supercoach. So I'm just taking the approach of, these are arguably two of the highest ceiling, or these guys have the highest upside in fantasy and Supercoach. I want them in my team. I'm keeping it pretty simple for my teams. Manly and Melbourne, there are a couple of minor changes. So Garrick is out, unfortunately, and so is Nick Meaney. So a couple of big or important backs for both teams are out. Pezzett comes in, and then Cooper John's obviously still in for Schuster, who's on the extended bench. Kepi, if you had him, he was slowing down with his cash generation anyway, so he's a very easy trade out. But aside from that, not too much to go over here in these teams. Munster's playing out of position at fullback. That'll be interesting to see how involved he is. Tom Trbojevic looked like he had a sore back last week, so it'll be interesting to see how he bounces back. Warriors, Cowboys, Tamari Martin and Wade Egan. If you had Wade Egan, you'll obviously ride in the luck of him scoring 4 tries in his first 4 games. That luck's out. He's injured. He's gone for a little bit. And Griffin Neem, unfortunately, is out for a few weeks. So that Cowboys team is now really interesting. Like, it's almost Cotter went from being that guy that was injured to now there's no McLean, there's no Neem, and Cotter could potentially be a decent pick. But then the State of Origin coming up, so it'll just be interesting to see what they do with their pack. Jackson Ford is still a good pickup, in my opinion. Dual position NRL Fantasy, plays a couple of the important bye weeks. I'd be definitely having a look at him. Aside from that, Sean Johnson obviously still doing well. He's obviously a hold. I wouldn't say he's a buy. Moving on, Knights Panthers. Brayley's out. Unfortunately, he's done his ACL. Martin Garner on the extended bench will be very, very interesting to see what happens with Hosking. Or would it be trading in a Hosking after he's put on so much cash now, and now his job could potentially be in some danger? Very interesting to see what happens with Luke and Kenny. Luke got either more minutes or he definitely scored decently well. If that happens again, he's almost a trading option. He's still super cheap because of that game where he got concussed. And the Knights, yeah, they are struggling to put a team together most weeks, but they're still doing really well. Like, good on the Knights for being in the top 8. I'm pretty sure they are. Titans, Broncos. Team changes wise, Sexton's out, but Foran's in, so that's no biggie. Flegler's out, and Kobe Hetherington plays his first game of the season. So no huge changes for the Titans and Broncos. Titans coming off an impressive win. Broncos coming off a shock loss. Will be interesting to see how these two teams go up in Queensland. Raiders, Dragons, Tapine, Whiten, Kotrich back, although Rapana's out, but huge ins for the Raiders. And Molo and Ravalawa, who aren't amazing NRL players, but they're actually pretty good in terms of the context of the Dragons. So this is going to be a really interesting game. The Raiders don't do so well when they're favourites and expected to win and everything's sort of going in their favour. So it'll be interesting to see. I think this is sort of a make or break game for the Raiders here. Like, they won one final, if not two. No, they didn't make the prelim. So they won one final last year. Had a great run when Fogarty joined the Raiders, and obviously Tapine was in excellent form. Well, Fogarty's had a week off, and he's sort of just getting into the season. Tapine's had he had a week off a couple of weeks ago. Tapine had a week off last week, having his having a kid. So they should be fresh. They should be raring to go. This is going to be a really, really fun game. And it's going to be really fun to see how the Raiders go here. Last game, Eels Dogs. Unfortunately, Kickout's done his pec. The news just came out on Wednesday in Sydney. I have no idea what's going to happen with this forward pack. It finally looked like they finally had most of their crew back, and now Kickout's injured, and someone's going to have to fill in there. So, but for the Eels, Junior Bolo's back. Addo misses for the Dogs. So there's a couple of changes that are quite important for this game. But with Parra not really impressing, having only a close win against the Tigers, the Dogs did get smacked, but 4-day turnaround, missing a few troops. That was always going to happen against the Rabbitohs. This will be a very close game, I reckon. Should be really good to watch. Getting straight into it, guys, NRL Fantasy first. This is really interesting. So I'm going to look at who's hot, who's not, and then have a quick look at captaincy and some cash cows. But in terms of who's hot or not, I can't believe Toby Couchman is the most traded player in. Like, that's weird. That's crazy. Yeah, Hines, fair enough. I'm bringing him in as well. Like, can fully understand that. Ford, fair enough. Cleary, fair enough. Crossland, really smart pick. Playing hooker. Price, I forgot exactly his price now, but he's in the 300s. Really good pick up there. I wouldn't debate any of these really, aside from Couchman. We'll have a closer look at him in a second. Who's not? Hopgood. Look, his dual position, he has big upside in terms of his scoring, but now Bowler's back, Madison's back, Lane's back. Like, I get it. I can't dispute that. That's fair enough. Tamari Martin's gone for a little bit. Fair enough. Turbo, do you trade a guy out based off one's like poor score when he had like back issues or whatever? I don't think so. I think this is silly. Adokar's injured, fair enough. Warbrick's got a bye coming up, and he's scoring slow down, fair enough. Kepi's been dropped. Brayley's ACL. Like, I get these, fair enough. Alamotti, I think it's actually worth keeping him unless you've got a clear cheapie that you want to cash him out for, like an underpriced gun that you're getting him for. But anyways, we'll move on from there. Captaincy, I can never tell whether this was last week or this week. I'm assuming last week because Hines is only 2%. And but anyways, like I think it'll be really interesting to see how people go here. Like how many people have Cleary and Hines both? I'm hoping not a lot because I will have them both after this round. I've also got Haas and Murray. So actually, of the top five, I'd have Cleary, Haas, Murray, Hines. But yeah, that'd be interesting to have it. Oh my God, top gainer. So Jacob Preston. If you haven't had him this season, you really missed out. He's obviously been excellent. Cartwright, I just traded him out last week. I should probably traded Hopgood out, but that's fine. Got to cop that. Miller, I traded him in a couple of weeks ago. He's been doing really well. Um, Can't argue against any of these guys, to be honest. Top losers. Jaden Campbell, it would have been so good to trade him in if you thought that like Brimson was going to be out for longer, but there just wasn't certainty around that. McInnes, it's almost like if you do have the cash to bring someone like him in, he's a great buy. Like it's confusing because 3 weeks is enough time, but he's lost so much money, and if he fits in the price tag of what you're looking for, again around like Origin time, he should be obviously not going to play Origin, but actually none of the Sharks guys play Origin from memory. But it'll just be interesting to see how he goes. Obviously, playing big minutes in the middle of the park. I'm going to wait a week just because I've got other trades planned. But I think he's a really good buy. I just thought he's not going to be that popular just because he's still quite pricey and yeah, at an awkward price point. Matola is going to be so bloody cheap at some point when he's fit again. And unfortunately, Dewey's on his ACL. So, anyways, guys, I'm going to move on from here. So, Couchman, 315K, like 40 and 50. Like, he's gone from 33, 27, 40, and 50. Like, I get his minutes have been going up. His price just over 20, I think that is, on NRL Fantasy. And he should be able to get you like an average of 30 or so. So yeah, dual position, not the worst pick. I do understand, but yeah, I just don't know why he's that popular. But anyways, let's move on. McInnes priced at about 40 in NRL Fantasy. This year he has been getting, well, yeah, just below 40. A couple of quiet weeks though. He's got a 31 minutes and 29 minutes a couple of times, which ain't ideal. But anyways, like, a lot of tackle breaks. That's interesting. Cool. So yeah, McInnes is a maybe, and I can understand the old Dragons photo here still. I love that. Catchman, I can understand. But anyways, let's move on. So my fantasy team, it was top 100 for a couple of weeks, I think, around round 3 and 4. It's now dipped to about 600, which is not ideal. But what are my trades this week? I've gone Hopgood, Carrigan, Kepi out. Carrigan's going to play Origin, sorry, and he's kind of like he's plateaued. Like he's not getting huge scores. He's actually doing sort of like subpar last couple of weeks. Kepi's been dropped, and Hopgood is going to get way less minutes, and he's actually like, dropping money as well. So no problems at all with these trade outs. Ford dual position. I have picked him up a little bit late, but I've had other priorities. But yeah, dual position, play for the Warriors, good buys, good stats. Scored a try last week. Looks good with the ball in hand as well. Hines is like, yeah, obvious why I'm trading him in. I want the high upside. And obviously with Hines, I'm hoping he doesn't play Origin, so he gets to play throughout the Origin rounds for my team. And Crossland, 368, priced at 20, like late 20s, but got the hooker roll now for the rest of the year, you'd think. And I reckon he should be able to average like around that 40 mark. And I should be able to get like a good 10, 15 point increase on what he's priced at and some nice cash out of him. So Cashy and hold through Origin. Cashy, good buys, hold through Origin. Hopefully hold through Origin, but obviously like the highest ceiling in the game pretty much. For 3 guys who I was kind of not excited about anyway. And the good thing is I've replaced the dual position with another dual position and gotten a gun and a cheaper cash cow half. So yeah, generally super happy with that. My team kind of looks like well-rounded as well. Like I've got Warbrick and Khan Pereira to choose from because I've got Talau in my starting team who's not playing with the bye this week. So I can get to choose out of their 2 scores and then like a Lindsay Smith or a Ray Stone. I'll have to play around with that a little bit to make sure that I can get the best score here. But it's just so good looking at your team and you go Hines, Cleary, Haas, Murray, I traded in last week as well. It's just really satisfying looking at that and knowing that you've got like a really nice base of points coming in from those guys. All right, I'll move on. Supercoach, I am not doing so well. So what is it, season rank of 22,000, which top 15% doesn't sound too bad. And I'm really confident of being able to sneak into the top 5-ish percent around that origin time. But yeah, I've just not been doing that great. And the plan really with where am I? Classic. The plan with Supercoach is just to keep taking risks. Like if you're someone who's not playing for head-to-head groups and all that kind of stuff, if you just want to get the highest rank possible, you do need to do things that are slightly different, and ideally go for like high ceiling players. And it is really cool looking down at a Trell. I traded last week for his 146, so that was awesome. Reece Walsh, I've got it for a few weeks now. He's obviously been doing amazingly well. Captained him last week from memory. Um, and Dill Brown, it's just because there's not that many 5'8" I was excited about. And then Clear and Hines. Like, it's just so like exciting looking at that sort of being like the core of your team. And I've got in Hosking mainly for cash. I'm hoping he gets one or two more good scores. And if he does get sort of back to the bench or dropped or whatever, then I can trade him out. Schuster, I'm more than happy to have him just sitting there. Kepi, he's not. There's no point in really trading him at the moment. I will need to do something about my forward pack. Like I actually really want David Fafita in. So it might be like a Cartwright to David Fafita, and then downgrade like Kepi to a Nuffy or something who I can. I don't know. I'll have to play around with that next week. But yeah, it would be awesome to bring David Fafita in next week. Just going through. I'll go through some numbers for Supercoach. Where are we? So ranked in top 10%. I don't know how accurate these numbers are, but we'll have a little bit of a play around with it. So yeah, I think wow, 24% Captain Reed Marnie. That can't be right. I'm hoping that's not right for for everyone out there. Terrell Sloan, 25% vice captain. Yeah, okay, fine. I'm assuming this is broken, so I'm not going to waste my time here. But let's look at traded out and traded in players. So Hopgood traded out by 10% of all players. Can't blame him. Like cash generation is dried up. Roll is gone with Paulo, Madison, and Lane back. Duehi, ACL. Alamotti's cash generation's gone, fair enough. Egan out for a little while. That's fair enough as well. Tommy Turbo, I think, is silly. Like, I don't understand how you trade him out. Like, it might be for Teddy. I kind of get that, but you can't just be swapping guns all the time in the backs, especially. It just makes no sense. And I can understand why people are trading these guys out. So yeah, that all makes sense. Traded in Hines, yep. Can't complain with people doing that. That's fair enough. Sonny Luke, I think it's a little bit early. You'd want to see at least one more week because what if he goes back to a 30-minute role, averaging 25 again? Like, yeah, he's so cheap that I'd let him have one more price rise for the security of knowing his role. Um, Surely you wait on Croker. Come on, like there's no reason to go off on Croker early. But if you're cashing down here to make a trade up somewhere else, fair enough. I can't believe people are still trading in Sako and Hammer. Like they put on almost $500,000 between them so far this season, and people are trading them in for a Dolphins team that's missing their halfback. Their who else are they? They're missing a couple of the forwards, so I don't know. I just think that's crazy. Gilbert scored a try as well, but I can kind of understand that because he does have an increased role. But anyways, yeah, really interesting with what people are doing with Supercoach. But yeah, generally pretty happy with this. But that's it, guys. Obviously these are going to get quicker and quicker for fantasy and Supercoach. We've got, as I said, like over 1,600 people on our Discord now. So from next week, I will be a little bit more organized. And when I do these, I'll try to do a bit of a Q&A for both the Punters Preview podcast and also the Fantasy and Supercoach podcast. But my aim really was to sort of go through team changes, who people are trading in and out, sort of like any big cash cows staying for, and yeah, we'll only get better at this over time. So yeah, as I said at the start, guys, if you guys can make sure you follow us on all our socials, share it across to your mates, join our Discord, and yeah, these links will all be updated with round 7 stuff real soon. Aside from that, all the best for your fantasy team and your Supercoach team for NRL or AFL if you play AFL Supercoach and stuff. But all the best this weekend, and we'll catch you before round 8 for our fantasy preview then. Good luck, guys.